Hello, beautiful being. I am Jennifer Schmidt, also known as Divinely Jennifer, and I'm coming to you with a really fascinating video about the total lunar eclipse, the full moon in Taurus that is happening on Tuesday, November 8th, 2022 at 4:02 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm going to be so happy when time changes and I'm only an hour from Central Time and an hour or 2 hours from Eastern Time. Very excited about this. Little victories, I tell you, little victories create big delights. So I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently because of why not? I had my first human design reading last week, actually this week, as I'm recording this, and it was amazing. Another rabbit hole for me to go down, but I'm a line 3, if you know what that means. I'm a 3/5. So I got to change things up on a pretty regular basis. For those of you who aren't like that and are like, just have some consistency. Sorry. Let's see, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping first before I get to the video. So you can just fast forward through it. Don't stop listening, just fast forward through it. First thing is that I'm running some beta tests for new types of sessions for past and current clients before I send it out to the general public. So if you are a client, you have been a client, and you didn't see an email about these offerings, please go back and check your spam. If you're a client who's unsubscribed, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but okay. Send me a quick email at hello@divinelyjennifer, and I will get those sessions out to you. This is very much about having fun when everything seems really serious. So as the day I'm recording this, I have my first one of those sessions today. I'm really excited about what we're diving into with these sessions. And like I said, having fun because, oh my love, how are you holding up? This eclipse season has been intense. Frankly, I feel like it's been a little bit less intense than Libra and Virgo. Just my personal opinion, my personal experiences because of where these things are happening in my own chart. But, you know, where are codependency and enabling showing up for you? I really, as I said in my new moon video, in my new moon write-up, I really feel like that's so much of the energy of this eclipse season is moving from codependency and enabling into our sovereignty. We can still support people when they're in need. We can still have compassion. But how often do we inadvertently get manipulated or manipulate ourselves for a situation to go a certain way, and we don't really face up to those things? So go back and watch that or listen to it, read it, depending on what came up for you with that, what's coming up for you this lunar cycle. I'm still taking sessions. If you want to book a reading with me, if you've never had a reading with me, please, by all means, you can book a session at www.divinelyjennifer.com/sessions. I know some of you don't like it when I put in a little plug like that, but that's just tough beans. All right, so let's get into this full moon. Thanks for listening to the housekeeping. Oh, one more thing I forgot. This Arizona hard water, we do not have a water softener because apparently the pipes can't handle it. This Arizona water and climate, my hair is not holding curl to save my life. I'm trying to use natural products. So if you know what it's like to live in the desert and you know how to keep curl and hair fairly naturally, like decent products, please send me a message, an email, a DM on Telegram or Instagram, and just let me know, please, because this is really driving me crazy. I curl it and it just dies. And you know, I like having wavy hair. I was born with very straight hair. So, all right, that's enough of the housekeeping. I am really, I've been looking at this new moon, or this full moon rather, this whole lunar cycle and the Mars retrograde for months now, and I'm really starting to see it differently. And at first, I've been joking around like, anyone want to go to Mexico next week? Because here we are in the US, we're in the middle of these elections and the vitriol and the polarity, and everyone's mad at each other. How could you vote for that person? Well, how could you vote for that person? And everyone's lying and nothing's true. And no one's going to believe that somebody won, because we've been dealing with this since what, 2016 anyway, right? Or 2000, no, let's go back to 2000, right? Gore versus Bush. Like, there have been issues with elections for a long time in the US. This has been building and building and building. And so you just kind of go, oh my God, the world is falling apart. I don't want to be here. It's a total eclipse ruled by Mars and Pluto. Mars is retrograde. Everything's going to fall apart. And I'm just not seeing it that way. I mean, I could see it that way, but I'm also seeing it a different way. And I'm really excited to share this with you, because I think for so many of us who are doing our work to raise our frequency, to ascend, to just be a better freaking human being and more love filled and live our purpose and make hard choices to step away from the fear and the mainstream and the conventional. This full moon offers us such a beautiful illumination of the divine feminine. And I'm going to talk a lot about that. To me, this full moon is about the revolution of the divine feminine, the re-evolution, the revolving. Like, think about all the words that are encompassed in revolution. The circle. It's like we're coming full circle. Now, with an eclipse, it's interesting because the illumination is veiled, right? So where I am in Arizona, we'll be able to see, if I wanted to get up that early, like I don't want to get up that early, but okay. If I wanted to see the eclipse, I would see it. And the moon would take on that red quality. Now, I'd only see it for a little while. People in California and Hawaii are going to get a much better view. Likewise in Australia. And so, it's, you know, if you've ever seen a lunar eclipse in pictures or in real life, you see that there's this like a veil that's put over the moon. And so what's being illuminated, it's like we're not quite ready to see it because it's so big and magical and amazing and transformative that if we could actually see it, I think it would just, like that little mind blown emoji. I think for a lot of people, it would be overwhelming, especially for people who really they've gotten caught in the fear. It's like they snagged their toe on fear and they keep tripping. And eventually you have to take the string or whatever it is you're caught on, or free your pant leg. Remember how we used to have those little rainbow things around our pant legs when we rode our bikes? Those little rainbow elastic straps. It's like our bell bottoms are getting caught in our bicycle chain. You got to pull the jeans out and maybe cause a little damage, but you got to break free of it. And so for people who are still caught and still stuck, and that happens to all of us at some point in time, even the most evolved beings or seemingly evolved beings have their catches. So with this full moon, we're going to see some things starting to be illuminated. And again, this is Scorpio energy we're talking about. The moon is in Taurus, the sun is in Scorpio, and I'll show you what that looks like. We're going to see, you have to look for it. You have to look beyond the veil. You have to dive down into the compost. You maybe have to wait until the leaves have composted and become nutrients in the spring. But we have to see the mystery and be patient in the mystery. Patience, not my biggest virtue. So I'm working with you on this patience piece, waiting. When is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? And I think in so many ways, we've come so far in the last 2 years, in the last 12 years, in the last 20 years. And we've, what's that? You've come a long way, baby. So it's like we're in this energy here of of this transformation and this rebirth that we're talking about, because revolution always leads to rebirth. And, what do you have to full moon on the South Node, or with the South Node, what do you have to let go of? What do you have to let die in order for that to happen? But ultimately, I do feel that this full moon is really helping us evolve into love. It really, in a lot of ways, is a love revolution, a receiving revolution. We're all still learning how to receive. We're really learning the importance of the pause, of just being, of allowing our creativity to flow without trying to force it, even allowing ourselves to be creative, because we have this thing, art is fun, or being creative is, it's fun. It's not efficient or productive. And that's part of that old system. So what I'm going to do is I'm using a little bit of a different software to record this than I normally do. And I'm going to be pulling up my screen in a slightly different way. Let's hope this works. All right, here we are. This beautiful chart for the lunar total eclipse, the full moon in Taurus on November 8th, 2022 at 4:02 a.m. here in Scottsdale, Arizona. This is going to be my first full moon in Arizona. So you can see, you can ignore the placement of the houses, this inner wheel, kind of the clock face. But we're looking at, so the moon here in Taurus at 16 degrees of Taurus, and we've got the sun down here at 16 degrees of Scorpio. As I said, the general theme of this new moon, the way I see it, is the revolution of the divine feminine. It's really all about the beauty of unity and getting your bearings around this fresh energy that's being created in every moment, and the reality is a lot of people don't like this. There are a lot of people, as I mentioned, who don't like this change, don't like this revolution of the divine feminine. But that's really not our problem, is it? That's their problem. So we have this moon. All right, I'm going to get my little piece of paper out. So the moon here in Taurus, the moon is really, in many respects, you could say she's the ruler of the feminine. So she influences the earth very much, right? She influences our water, our tides, our flow. But she doesn't necessarily influence other planetary bodies. Like Neptune influences the objects in the Kuiper Belt way out in the solar system. But the moon is specific to our ascension on Earth. So this is a very personal full moon. It's also in Taurus, right? So Taurus is a personal sign and is very much, in my humble opinion, and I'm going to be making a video about this shortly, I think Taurus is a feminine sign, and it's not all the bull with his horns and his big, what? Taurus is a very feminine sign. It's about the delights of the earth. On the earth are the senses, the leaves, the trees, the hummingbirds, the honeybees, our dog, watching a sunset. Everything we can taste, touch, feel, hear, see. That is Taurus. And here's the moon at 16 degrees of Taurus, and she's with Uranus. At 16 degrees, 56 minutes of Taurus. So they are conjunct by degree. And so they're both at 16 degrees. And of course, Uranus is that sign of revolution. So this is really, and here's the North Node. North Node in Taurus. The North Node is where we are heading. So this isn't so much like what we had in May with the full moon in Scorpio, the eclipse in Scorpio that was with the South Node, or even the new moon that we had in Scorpio, that partial eclipse a couple of weeks ago on, the 25th. This is of October. This is very much So it's not letting go. It's not about death and dying, although those things always have to happen. We always have to release with this energy. But this North Node says, hey, we are heading towards divine feminine revolution. I think that's kind of exciting. So some of the keynotes of what's being illuminated with this full moon, and again, it's not for everybody because you have to be willing to go behind the veil of the eclipse. So it's being solidly grounded and oriented in gratitude, abundance, fertility. Fertility is not just about making babies. It is our creations. How fertile are we with our creations, with our life? Doesn't matter how old you are, how you gender identify, how you biologically identify, if you even still have a uterus in your body, if you've had a vasectomy, none of that matters. Our fertility comes from within, deep, deep within, comes from a place of love. This energy is youthfulness, right? So if you see people, sometimes I know for myself, I was very much in a place of scarcity for September and part of October. I was like down. I was down in my 12th house and in those depths, in those murky, cloudy scarcity depths. And I wasn't grounded or oriented in that gratitude or in abundance, anything like that. And so a few things had to happen for me to come back up, allow myself to raise back up. This full moon is also about the unity of masculine and feminine within us, right? So the moon is very feminine. The sun is considered masculine. It's this unity of our heart and soul with logic, with inner knowing. It's like this triad of energy within us. In anthroposophy, it's like the will forces, the heart, and the thinking. It's that unifying, that unity within us. It's the unity of one consciousness, that we're all seeds from one consciousness, from one divine mother, mitochondria, whatever you want to call that beautiful source. And it's this elimination then of the division and the polarity and the fear and the scarcity. Ultimately, I really feel like it is about returning to source. Of course, Mother Earth is such a beautiful source. The energy of source, God, creator, the universe, whatever you call it, however you associate with it. And thinking of that energy as above, so below. So Taurus really represents that as above. What's on the surface? What can you see and sense with your physical body? Taurus is very physical. It's, I can touch, what I can feel. Scorpio is very much that underground. It's under the surface, not quite as much as Capricorn, where we're really getting deep into those roots, but it's, kind of the underworld of our soul and our psyche in many ways. So that's part of what's happening here now with the moon. And then we have the sun. And the sun is at 16 degrees of Scorpio and is conjunct with Mercury, who's at 15 degrees, 52 minutes of Scorpio by 8 minutes. They're very close. They will have their cazimi, their conjunction, at 9:42 a.m. Mountain Standard Time or 11:42 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 4 hours, a little bit more than 4 hours after this full moon. And so in some regards to the full moon, like people might be struggling, trying to figure out what to say. But they might still ground in their heels and be stubborn, because that's what can happen with a Sun-Mercury conjunction. People kind of think they're right. And in Scorpio, it's very much like criticizing behind closed doors, or criticizing someone behind their back, or criticizing someone because we're envious or jealous, using words to manipulate. Golly, this is election day. What do you think is going to happen on election day? people, the media loves to spin things in their favor. And so that's part of what's going to happen with this full moon. And we can let ourselves be manipulated or not. What we can really do, what Scorpio encourages us to do, is to really look behind the curtain and say, what's true? What is actually true? This sun here is also almost loosely conjunct Venus in Scorpio. Venus is at 20 degrees, 13 minutes here. And, the shadow of Venus and Scorpio is very serious. It's sex trafficking. It's anything that uses the innocent children or maidens for financial gain. And you could put pretty much every pharmaceutical company in this category. And then we turn a blind eye or a deaf ear to what's happening because it's so intense that it causes us too much pain to even think about it until it happens to someone we know, or, someone we know is injured by a pharmaceutical product, or someone we know is taken away, is harmed by sex trafficking or anything like that. And sometimes, like what's happening in Iran right now, talk about the revolution of the divine feminine, holy cow. And that is very much like they are rising for the innocent maidens who have been taken, who have been killed by the armed forces and the security forces there, because they want to be their free, sovereign, beautiful, feminine self. And that, of course, is part of this energy, the higher vibration of Venus and Scorpio, right? She's willing to die for a cause. The children, the feminine, are rising up and they're willing to die for their beliefs. They're willing to die so that there can be revolution and rebirth among the feminine on their land. And then, of course, going back to death, to release the South Node here at 13 degrees, 24 minutes of Scorpio. And, this is very much about releasing old karma, old debts, power struggles, power dynamics. And by the way, when I say releasing, I don't necessarily mean forgiving. Oh, you haven't paid me child support for 4 months? Oh, it's okay. No, that's not what I mean at all. It's really more like karmic debts. Now, you can forgive someone, if you lent your sister $200, you can let that go. Absolutely. If it's not coming from a place of codependency or enabling. I'm laughing, I know, because this child support thing is very personal to me. It's releasing jealousies. Where are you jealous? Where are you envious? We've got these planes. We live underneath the flight lines of the Scottsdale airport, and we have these private jets flying over us every 10 minutes. And I could be mad. Oh my God, stupid private jets. Why are you making so much noise and disturbing my world? And oh my God, you snooky rich people. Or I can go, one day that's going to be me on that jet. Yep. So it's really up to us how we carry that energy. It's maybe releasing some old business ventures that didn't go the way you wanted to. I mean, how many of us invested in crypto in the beginning of 2021 only to see our investment tank? And, you might need to forgive yourself. It's releasing old trauma. This is, like I said, this is all about releasing the energetic hold that something has on us that doesn't serve us. It doesn't mean that we're giving up in any way, shape, or form. It just means that we're releasing that energetic hold so that we also can be illuminated in all of our gifts and how we're supposed to be here. Now, some of the keynotes of the sun. So it's really illuminating how we cut ourselves off from that source energy, from that love, from the delights and pleasures. Can you enjoy eating a grape in the sunshine? Or are you mad because you only have 3 grapes and they were like $12 a pound? Think about how you enjoy that. It's illuminating through awareness of where and how we numb ourselves. This is such a big one in our world, right? we numb the black hole of our suffering because we just don't want to go there. So sometimes we numb it with a substance, alcohol, cannabis, psilocybin, sugar. Oh my God, sugar is a biggie. We numb ourselves with binge watching something on a streaming app or on our phones, scroll, 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 scroll. And that just tends to bring us down. I know I've unfollowed people who I'm kind of surprised about unfollowing, but I just can't. I just have to release that energy from my being. So think about how we numb ourselves to both our suffering and then also the pleasure, the pleasure. I mean, like even something like an SSRI drug, it numbs. That's the whole point. So it numbs you from those feelings of being depressed, supposedly. But then it also numbs you from the joy. So you have to look at it that way too. It's never just one-sided. When we numb ourselves from the pain, we're also numbing ourselves from the joy. We have to, this sun here, where the sun's position in Scorpio, how we can use our creativity. It's illuminating how we can use our creativity to express these new awarenesses. As we're becoming aware of these things, going, oh my gosh, can't believe I used to do that, or I still do that now. It allows us to look at those awarenesses and bring our creativity to it. And then this creativity is what gets to lead to the revolution and the rebirth. And of the revolution and rebirth of who we are and how we see the world. You can see the world as such a horrible place, and we humans are going to kill each other, and we're going to kill the planet, and it's all going to hell in a handbasket. Or we can really look and be aware of the beauty that exists everywhere, and the silkiness of your cat's coat, and the eyes that your dog makes at you when it's like, I love you so much, that energy. Or my cat wandering outside being like, let me in, let me in. And it's the cutest little meow, right? So it's like finding those pleasures and those delights and all of those things out in the world. Even when things seem like WTF. And there are a lot of days when it does seem like WTF. So it's illuminating too where we focus. And one of my favorite aspects of Scorpio energy is the compost. And compost is what makes things fertile. So when we let go of whatever it is we're letting go of, and we let it compost, and then a few months later, it becomes food. It helps to nourish and make us fertile for what's next, for what's coming. All right, what else we got on the docket here? Okay, so this full moon is in a T-square with Saturn over here in Aquarius. Saturn's considered, the traditional ruler of Aquarius, which I really don't understand. I just don't see it. Sorry. But that's okay. And he's going to be moving into the energy of revolution and rebirth on November 9th, right after, the day after the full moon. So watch how you react to things. Watch how you react to situations, especially in your community, in your friend group. Do you feel like odd person out where everyone's like, yeah, I'm so glad that person won. And you're going, oh man, I'm a little worried. Or you just don't care. And everyone is so passionate about it. All right, so Saturn here is, sorry, my phone is ringing. Saturn here is answering to Uranus and Taurus, because Uranus is considered the modern ruler of Aquarius, which makes much more sense to me. And so this full moon here is really putting a spotlight on the structures, paradigms, and ideals that do not serve the highest good of all, which is pretty much 95% of the ideals and structures and paradigms that are out there right now, but who's judging? So this divine feminine energy that we're tapping into can absolutely help us to revolutionize these structures and paradigms, and especially the fear-based ideals. Like I said, the divine feminine is all about love. It's all about receiving love from source, from one another. And the masculine side of that is about sort of that fire and creativity. But we have to be able to also then receive, breathe, pause, and give ourselves time to feel the love, divine feminine, so we can express the love through our creativity, divine masculine. Does that make sense? So the reality is that this polarity and the fracturing that are happening out in the world, it's not going to get better or go away. I mean, we can look at the astrology in the coming months and years, and we'll have our moments of back and forth, but I think we're really not going to really step into this energy more until 2025, 26, where things are becoming a little bit more settled. They are, for the most part, that fracturing is going to continue as some of us choose love and some of us choose fear. Now, we can still find, as I was saying, the beauty and delight, Taurus, amidst the uncertainty and the instability, Aquarius, Saturn and Aquarius, and also this Taurus, Uranus and Taurus. We can still find that, the mentality of the world around us, like the scarcity mentality, that's so prevalent. We're going to run out of diesel. We're going to run out of food. Amazon can't ship to my house. Like, the scarcity is so prevalent. Inflation. And it's all very real. All of a sudden you're spending $60 for groceries instead of 40, or however that's appearing in your own life. So we can choose gratitude for our bounty, or we can choose entitlement that arises through envy. So like I said, envy is one of those Scorpio keynotes. Which one do you want to choose? Which one feels good in your body? When I say that out loud, do you want to choose gratitude for your bounty? Wow, I just found $10 on the ground. Or do you want to choose the scarcity? Oh man, I just found $10 on the ground. It's not a 20. I really wanted a 20. Trust me, that happens all the time. And we have to, we're really working. It takes time to reprogram your brain and your synapses around those limiting beliefs. So instead of feeling more, or instead of feeling angry or entitled that someone else seems to have more, imagine how it would feel in your own being to tap into the infinite abundance that is your birthright. Remember, so I haven't really mentioned it yet in this video, but Taurus is, I talk about the sensory part of Taurus, but Taurus is very much our individual assets and resources as well. And Scorpio is shared resources. It's the sharing. And so sometimes what happens with Scorpio is people take, right? They use some type of power to take resources from others instead of to receive resources from others in a way that's fair. So, hint, it's not about having stuff. Of course, there's nothing wrong with having stuff. There's no shame in luxury and pleasure. I am wearing, it's cold here. I'm wearing a cashmere sweater. I love cashmere. I wait until the sale at Macy's on December 26th and I have a blast. It's really about the feeling, the glow that comes from sharing and emanating your love. It all comes back to love and gratitude for life itself. So that's very much this energy here that we are seeing in this full moon. It's not all doom and gloom like I was kind of seeing earlier. It very much is about the revolution of the divine feminine. Oh, my love. All right, things got a little intense there. Just take a moment to breathe. It is Scorpio. It's supposed to be intense. We're made for this. We are made for this. No matter where you are in the world, no matter what your life is like, how much money is in your bank account, no matter what challenges you are facing, you are made for this. I am made for this. We are made for this. And whatever is happening around you, it's all perfect and divine. And I, for one, feel so blessed and happy that the divine feminine is rising up. And I feel so grateful that this is the message that I received to convey to all of you about this magical and intense full moon, total lunar eclipse in Taurus on November 8th. Let me know how things are going for you. I'm here. I'm really excited. It's like I just got to be patient, stay in present moment, because I really love Sagittarius season. So get through Scorpio season to come into Sagittarius season. And the beautiful thing is that Scorpio season reveals so much about you and about all of us. So we have even more optimism about what's to come in this adventure called life. Ultimately, it always boils down to love. You get past all of the stuff, all of the dirt. It all boils down to love. And as always, I am here for you. I am percolating on all sorts of offerings for you for the rest of 2022 and into 2023, how we can all be of service to one another. And there's some good stuff coming. I hope you have a beautiful full moon, a beautiful rest of the Scorpio lunar cycle. You're holding up. If you need some help, please, please, please reach out. Set up a session with me, www.divinelyjennifer.com/sessions. If the payments for the sessions are really, really, really out of your reach, don't let that stop you. Please email me at hello@divinelyjennifer.com and let's see what we can work out. I love you, and I'll see you the next time.